To say today is Manic and Panic Monday would be an understatement. After the goings on this weekend in the college and pro football world, wow. Did anybody see that coming from Penn State? I did, and I'll explain why in the ozone. What's up, everybody? Big O with the big mouth here. And we got Manic and Panic Monday here in the Total Sports Ozone. I'll talk to you about the NFL and what I saw from this weekend from the Chiefs, the Bucks. We got to start talking about is Baker Mayfield an MVP candidate. But first, we all know what happened. We all know what happened Sunday. And I am here to say I'm not surprised a bit. James Franklin, head coach of the former head coach of the Penn State Nittany Lions, was given what I would affectionately call the boot to the tune of a almost $50 million buyout. $50 million just to not coach at Penn State. It's a lot of money. I mean, let's face it, most of us, when we get fired from a job and it wasn't our fault, we get what? Depending on how long we've been there, month severance, base pay month in advance, severance, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, something like that. This man is getting paid just under $50 million to say bye-bye. The administration is going to pay this man that much money just for them to say, we do not want you as our head coach anymore. That's how serious this game has gotten, college football. Almost $50 million. That's the buyout. To say, we don't want you as our head coach no more. We thank you for what you've done, but it ain't enough. You got to go. That's how serious the game has gotten. It used to be just about playing the game, winning that conference, winning that bowl game, hopefully winning that national title. Now, with all the money involved, NIL, transfer portal, paying assistant coaches millions of dollars, it's all about you better win. And you know what? I don't blame the administration one bit. Not one bit. James Franklin went to the administration, the powers that be at Penn State, and said, we're good, but we're not good enough. This is what I need. This is what I need. I need this, that, and the other. And they gave it to him. I looked it up. They gave them to the average of $87,000 per player for the 2025 season in NIL. They snatched the defensive coordinator, Greg Knowles, from the defending national champions. Yes, the team on my hat. And paid them the most money any assistant coach has ever gotten in the history of college football. They're talking about doing a $700 million renovation to Beaver Stadium. This school has put money, buku money, into the football program. And all they ask for in return, we want to win that natty. We want that natty, James Franklin. We want the natty. And it wasn't like we all thought Penn State was right there. They had a loaded roster. They had just come off of being 1 or 2 plays away from playing for the national title earlier this year. They were 1 or 2 plays away. 1 or 2. Now look. And the expectations were they were preseason ranked number 2. Odds were taking them as they were the best team in the Big Ten over Ohio State, over Oregon, over Indiana, over Michigan. They had loaded it everywhere, and now with a new defensive coordinator, they're going to be loaded on defense. And a lot of people bought into it. I didn't. I've always said, and I'll still say it, James Franklin is the problem. He was the problem at Penn State. I mean, it's not like he was a sorry head coach. He wasn't. He was a good head coach. Real good. And considering the scandal and everything that happened at Penn State in the early 2010s, with the Sandusky and the Flack with Joe Paterno, and then O'Brien left after 2 seasons. James Franklin came in, and I think he did a good job. I ain't gonna say great, but he did a good job. He always kept Penn State in contention. He always did. But his problem was what I've been saying is the reason why I always thought Penn State was overrated. He couldn't win the big one. Regular season or in the playoffs. He couldn't win it. He's only won one big title. He won Big Ten championship. One. And he was there 11 seasons. He's only won one. His record against top 10 opponents, 4-21. Think about that. He went 104-45 at Penn State. For a lot of schools, that coach will give you that kind of record, he ain't going nowhere. For a lot of the lower tier schools, you're going to pay that man to play. For the lower you're going to pay that man to stay. You ain't going to hold nobody going to snatch him up. But this is one of those college football blue bloods. Penn State. And those fans, they want championships. They want national titles. They want Big Ten championships. They don't want no Rudy Poo bowl game wins. They don't want that. They don't want that. They want Big Ten championships. They want you to beat Ohio State. They want you to beat Oregon. They want you to beat Michigan on a consistent basis. And James Franklin simply could not do it. He could beat everybody else up until this year. He could beat everybody else. Everybody else in the Big Ten until this year. I mean, he could, he was dominant against everybody else except Ohio State, Michigan, and now Oregon. And with all the money that school is investing into that football program, especially this year, they went all in. It was an all in. It was a championship or bust mentality. And I've never seen a high tier college football team bust like that. Maybe Florida State last year. But I've never seen a team fall in season as far and as hard and as fast as I've seen Penn State. And the coach is all, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what level we on. High school, college, pro. When your team stinks and it stinks long enough, the first domino that's going to fall is usually the head coach. James Franklin, for all intents and purposes, he's a great guy. He's a good guy. Never heard nothing really bad about him. Family man. And he's a good coach. I'm pretty sure he'll find a job somewhere sometime soon if he wanted to. I'm pretty sure of that. But this is Penn State. This is one of those college football blue bloods. And right now, this college football blue blood has been passed up by a team that's not even known to be a college football blue blood. Nowhere near it. They're a college basketball blue blood. Yep, I'm talking about Indiana. Indiana did what Penn State couldn't do. They went out west and took it to Oregon and came back to Indiana with a win. If you heard my podcast or seen my YouTube live stream Friday, I said, or was it Thursday? I said that Indiana needed to get that win, and they got it. Penn State, I said the week before, they needed to get that win against Oregon. They didn't get it. That's the difference. Kirk Cignetti has got his team rising with a bullet, like a rocket. James Franklin spiraled out of control. Program just went south after losing Oregon. I'm sure the fan base would have let the Oregon loss go had they not went out west and lost to UCLA. Lost to UCLA in a half-empty stadium. Went out there and lost. And then you come home, and I'm sorry. Penn State, I'm sorry. You know, you're not supposed to lose to Northwestern at home. I don't care if it was about a point, a half a point, or 30 points. You ain't supposed to lose to no Northwestern. Not at home. Maybe they let you pick. You might get picked off in their place every now and then. But at home, that should not happen. Should not happen. Not with the money you invested into the program. Not with the talent that you have on that roster. Yeah, and I know Drew Aller got knocked out of the game, and he's probably out for the season. I know that, but still, your backup should come in and beat Northwestern. No end of the bench. Freshmen. The players that don't get much run unless the game is over should come in and beat Northwestern. And they lost. When that happened, I knew James Franklin's time was limited. I already said he was on the hot seat so hot he gonna need to wear flame retardant underwear. Well, that seat, that hot seat has spontaneously combusted. Hey, you can't blame nobody but himself. He had all the program, the team, the administration gave him everything he said he needed to get the team over the top. He blew it. He blew it. Now, the question upon us, what's going to happen to the program? I mean, they still got to play these games with an interim head coach. I believe his name is Smith, Terry Smith or something like that. They still got to go out and play these games. And now, not only they're without their lead quarterback for the rest of the season, their head football coach has been dismissed. Where does this team go from here? Are they even going to be? Forget college football playoffs. That's done. That's done. Forget the Big Ten championship. That's gone. The question now is, will Penn State even make bowl eligibility? Will they even make that? As we all know, you need to win 6 games to be eligible for a bowl game. They're 3-3. And look at the gauntlet they got to go through for the next 3 games. They got to go to Iowa next week. And then after that, they got to come home and they go to Iowa next week. That ain't never been easy. Especially after how Iowa spanked Wisconsin last weekend. That won't be easy. And then you got to go to the Horseshoe and take on the number 1 defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes, who you've had problems beating over the past. You ain't come close to beating them in the past 5 years. You are 1-10 against them in the past 11 years. And now you got to go to their house. And to top it off, you got Indiana coming in your house. That's their next 3 games. That's Penn State's next 3 games. At Iowa, at Ohio State, and at home against Indiana. You're playing 2 teams that are ranked in the top 3 in your own conference. And you're doing it without your head coach. And you're doing it without your head quarterback. Will they even be bowl eligible? That's the question. I don't know. I have no idea. They're not beating Ohio State and Columbus. They don't know how to beat Ohio State and Columbus. no matter who's the coach. And now you got Indiana, who just went out to Eugene and took a win from Oregon. Y'all think y'all on that level? You're not on Oregon's level. Are you going to let Indiana come in and spank the crap out of you? How's the players going to take this? I would love to be the fly in the room of the TV meeting today. I would love to be the fly in the room to hear how that meeting went down. Now, I know I'm pretty sure it wasn't a great one. And then, whoa, this is a rough situation for Penn State. But I understand why the administration pulled the trigger this early. It was, like I said earlier in the show, championship or bust. That's what their season was this year. Championship or bust. I just didn't think it would go bust this early. We're just roughly halfway through the season. And their season is done. Done. Now, how will this affect college football as a whole? I mean, you saw the games we had this weekend. We had some changes in the top 10 in college football AP rankings. Oklahoma got beat. That put Texas back in the mix. Penn State's gone, so that opens up a spot in the college football playoffs. It opens up a spot, let's face it. And Texas just got themselves back into the mix somewhat by taking down number 8 Oklahoma at the Red River rivalry. Alabama's coming on strong. And now you got Indiana, who's ranked 3rd. Indiana. That's right, the basketball school, Bobby Knight and all that, is now a hot college football, probably the hottest team in college football. Probably. How is this shakeup in Happy Valley, which ain't so happy right now, going to affect the landscape of college football? He ain't the only coach that was on the hot seat. We all know this. Billy Napier, Florida. I'm betting he's wearing flame retardant underwear right now. He's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the next domino to fall. Luke Fickle, Wisconsin. You just got blanked by Iowa, a team that is so deficient on offense, and you got blanked by them. 37-0 in your house. Luke Fickle. Flame retardant underwear, please. I bet he's wearing it. Bobby Petrino is just now the interim head coach at Arkansas. I mean, we've had coaching changes left, right, up. We've had coaches on hot seat and coaching changes. Left, right, up, down, and right down the middle. You have to see this coming. With the money involved now, with the NIL, the transfer portal. Look at Bill Belichick. He might be gone after 1 year in North Carolina because, let's face it, North Carolina stink. I ain't say stink, I said stink. He might be gone. Who knows? I wasn't sure he should have been a college football head coach. That's not his name. Some coaches need to stay in their lane. We know that. Nick Saban learned that. Urban Meyer knows that. Some coaches just need to stay in their lane. If your lane has been college football, stay there. I know the lure of the NFL and all that money and all that prestige is tempting. But if you're a college football coach and you have succeeded as a college football coach, you won conference championships, you won rivalry games, you won national titles, why would you want to jump to the NFL if that's not your lane? North Carolina, Belichick. So we got a lot of coaches. We've already seen now with James Franklin that is now the 4th or 5th head coach that's been fired in season. And we just getting to the halfway point in the season. UCLA, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, Penn State now. Coaches from, let's face it, coaches from recognized schools, recognizable schools. These ain't like the Art of the Sisters of the Poor University for Women. These are like group Power 5 schools. Schools from Power 5 conferences. Getting the boot. $49 million to get the boot. That's how serious this game has gotten, y'all. And it ain't gonna get any lighter on the top. Look last year, Ryan Day, Ohio State. Lost to that team up north for the fourth year in a row. The only rival. There's nobody else as a cheap rival to Ohio State but that team up north, Michigan. I guarantee you, as sure as I'm sitting here, if he and the Buckeyes had not gone on that magical run in the playoffs to win that national title, he would have been fired. Trust me. Don't think he ain't on the hot seat. He got a mulligan because he won the national title, but he didn't win the Big Ten, and he lost to his only rival. The only game that matters on the schedule. He lost. At home. He lost. And if it hadn't been for that title run, he would have gotten fired. I guarantee it. Because everybody in Buckeye Nation was calling for his head. So he bought himself some goodwill by winning that national title. But I guarantee you, he lose to Michigan this year, knowing that his team is way more superior than Michigan. I don't care if it is in Ann Arbor. I don't care. They could be playing on the moon. They could be playing on Jupiter. He loses to Michigan this year, 5 in a row, with all the money involved and this, that. Hot seat. He's back on the hot seat. Again, flame retardant underwear, please. Underwear is in aisle 5. Go get it. I guarantee it. And it's just not about your history now no more when you're a college football head coach. It's about the here and now. It's about the money involved. It's about winning. They didn't want to hear no excuses. Look at Penn State. Look at Penn State. They didn't want to hear no more excuses. They're tired of it. The fan base was tired of it. The students were tired of it. They're tired of you losing to the top teams. You having problems beating the top teams. You have no problem beating the chumps, but you have problems beating the top teams. The teams that matter. The teams that put your team on the map. That put you right there in the driver's seat to win the Big Ten and the national title. You can't win those games. And they're tired of asking you why. They're tired of it. They must be tired of it. They're willing to pay you almost $50 million because they're tired of asking you why. Giving you the boot with a $50 million buyout because they're tired of it. They're just sick and tired of it. And I, for one, can't blame them. Can't blame them. I hope the man lands on his feet. And I'm pretty sure if he wants to, he can get another coaching job, decent coaching job somewhere on the landscape. No, he ain't going to get that kind of a contract, but because he is a good head coach. You don't go 104-45 at a Big Ten school without doing something legit. His problem was the big boys were always in his way, and the big boys were the ones he could not beat. My hat's off to James Franklin. I'm pretty sure he saw what was coming. I know he saw the writing on the wall. He had to. But from all I know, he's taking it like a grown man. And why not? They paying. I would take it like a grown man, smiling like a bull in a china shop. You paying me $50 million, not the coach? All that pressure is off of me now. Thank you. Where's my check? Watching the big mouth on Toast Sports Ozone. It's Manic and Panic Monday. That was the panic. James Franklin being fired. Now here comes the manic. We got a nice little shakeup in the top 10. Nice little shakeup. With all the games that went down last weekend, let me pull this up for you. All the losses and the big wins. We still got Ohio State at number 1. And I know there's a lot of flack. There is a lot of flack about that. Because people are saying, Ohio State ain't playing nobody. They ain't playing nobody. Who they play? Well, it ain't our fault that Texas went unranked for a week or two because they lost to Florida. That our fault? Is that Ohio State's fault? No, it ain't. People need to quit crying about that. Now, that being said, I wouldn't have been upset one bit if Indiana or Miami have jumped Ohio State to number 1. I wouldn't be upset. Those 3 teams are clearly the best teams in college football as of right now. Miami, Indiana, Ohio State. You can mix apples and oranges all you want. They are the best 3 as of right now. It's simple as that. But where's Oklahoma now? They took a loss. Not a bad loss per se, but they didn't look good. They did not look good one bit. They did not look good one bit. They didn't. I think Latier should have sat this game out. Oh yeah, he wasn't ready. I mean, you just had surgery, man, 2 weeks ago. You're not game ready. Your body is not game ready. It looked like it. He threw 3 interceptions. His body looked like it wasn't game ready. His game looked like it wasn't game ready. And Texas took advantage of it. Now, if you saw my live stream or heard my podcast last Thursday, I said Texas was one of those teams that needed to win this weekend. And they got it. They needed it. They didn't win, season's over. Season's all over. No college football, no SEC. You're going to one of those, thank you for playing, here's your consolation gift bowls. And they know it. And they play like it. I guess it's because it's a rivalry. Rivalry games, records don't matter. Stats don't matter. None of that matters when you're playing your chief rival. And Texas showed that. Oh, Arch Manning, they've been throwing a whole lot. Everybody's been throwing salt at Arch Manning. And he's earned that. He's owned up to that, though. But last Saturday, I'm not going to say he was the reason why they won, but he wasn't the reason why they lost. He managed the game very well. Took advantage of what the defense gave him. Made just enough plays. And Texas' defense, special teams, they did what they had to do. They made plays, especially the defense. 3 interceptions, 4 sacks. They showed up. But like I said, in a rivalry game, that tends to happen. You don't think the obvious in a rivalry game. You want to. You want to think your team is going to slaughter the other team. In a rivalry game, that rarely happens. You ain't going to slaughter the other team. You're just going to make enough plays to beat them. And that's what Texas did. They made enough plays to beat, on offense and defense, to beat Texas. To be Oklahoma. That's what Texas did. And it kept them in the running. It put them back in the rankings, and it kept them at least in the hunt to grab one of those at-large playoff bids. But they can't afford to lose another game. I said that last week, and I'll say it again. They can't afford to lose another game to anyone. They cannot afford it. And we're going to look at Texas' remaining schedule. And they got at Kentucky, at Mississippi State. They got a doozy at home against Vanderbilt November 1st. Then they got to go to Georgia, and then they got back-to-back home games against Arkansas and Texas A&M. Realistically, I see them losing at least one of these remaining games. At least one. I see them losing one of them. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Georgia. Georgia looks like, to me, the strongest team in the SEC right now. And you can say A&M and that. So what? I still think Georgia, the SEC goes through Georgia. I'm not going to say Alabama yet. Not yet. Even though Alabama did beat Georgia straight up, I still think the SEC goes through Georgia. They just have a tendency of hanging around when you think they're going to get beat. And they just hang around and hang around and hang around. And then you look up, they won the game. You're like, how the hell did they do that? That's Georgia this year. You let them hang around, you won't be around. That's Georgia. So Texas, they got to come with it. Like I said, they've lost 2. They can't afford to lose one more. In my opinion, they can't. You also got to worry about those the group of 5 team. Memphis, South Florida, those teams. They ain't looking like slouches this year, and they could just realistically steal 2 bids. The group of 5, they could steal 2 bids in the college football playoff. Then what? Texas, one of those teams, they can't afford to lose. So they needed last week's win, and they got it. They got it. So how did that change the landscape? How did Texas win and Indiana's win at Oregon? How did that change the landscape of college football? It put a lot of teams on notice. It put a lot of teams on notice. One of them teams on notice now is Missouri. I said they were one of those teams that needed to win. Missouri. They needed so badly to win against Alabama to validate their program. They came up 3 points short. So where does that put them? Right in the mix with everybody else. It's only their first loss. They only dropped 2 spots in the rankings, but 2 spots in the rankings could be enough, especially with their schedule. Their schedule ain't easy. Got to go to Auburn, got to go to Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt is no joke this year, ladies and gentlemen. They trying to get into the college football playoff. See, this is one of those teams Missouri is going to have to tussle with to get one of those at-large bids, one of those final at-large bids. That's why I said Missouri's needed to win against Alabama. Not only would it validate your program, it'll jump you past Alabama right in the mix in the SEC, and you'll be all but guaranteed, if you stay on course, you'll be all but guaranteed at that large bid. But now you lost. So now you got to find another way to validate your program and show the committee that you're one of the 12 best teams to be playing for the college football national title. And you only got a couple of games left on your schedule to do that. You got A&M, you got Oklahoma. Vanderbilt, A&M, Oklahoma. Those are it. Can Missouri win those 3 games? Can they? 2 of them on the road. Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. The one at home, A&M. Can they win those 3 games? That's why Saturday would have been so good for their program to win that game. They couldn't pull it off. Couldn't pull it off. That's the landscape that we're in college football. Those middle teams in the rankings, if you will, they're going to be jostling and tussling and pulling up and pulling sideways, all to get the committee's attention. We're halfway through the season now. That's what they got to do. That's what they got to do. Even Oregon is now in that position. The jostle tussle. Yeah, I know that they didn't drop too far in the rankings. They dropped enough. And unfortunately for Oregon, they ain't got too many more prospects on their schedule. They don't have many prize matchups left on their schedule. Matter of fact, the only team they ain't playing for the rest of the season that is ranked is USC. And they're ranked in the low 20. So they're in the bottom of the totem pole. USC just got themselves back into the AP rankings by beating Michigan. Other than that, they're in trouble. Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, USC, Washington. A lot of people will call them the Big Ten bums, or mid-tier and below. And they will be right. They will be right. So where does Oregon at? They don't have Ohio State this year. Nope. They beat Penn State. So their last little hope to just solidify themselves as one of the best teams in the country was Indiana. And they lost at home. So where does that leave them? Scrambling. But ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't look like Ohio State is going to lose a game. If they lose one, it might be the Michigan. Might. I say might. All because, like I said, rivalry games, you throw the records out the window. Other than that, Ohio State's not losing to nobody. Penn State, right. Purdue, they're not losing to nobody left on their schedule. Wisconsin, no, they're not losing. They're not going to lose. At least not until we get to the game. So, Oregon's now like a step or 2 behind the 2 best, Ohio State and Indiana. Now, Oregon is in a position where Texas was, Missouri was, especially Texas. Can't afford to lose another game because you got bums. You got a bunch of bums left on your schedule. You can't afford to lose another game. A lot of craziness going on in college football today. That's why we call it Manic and Panic Monday. What do you think? Leave me a comment. Click that like and subscribe button. I'll definitely appreciate it. So, Big O with the big mouth, moving on. NFL. Whoa. NFL. We got to start talking about Tampa Bay Buccaneers a little bit more than we have been. I mean, they went out there and kicked tail of San Francisco. Baker Mayfield. I mean, let's just ask it now. Is he currently the NFL MVP? Baker Mayfield. You know, that guy that was only thing he was famous for when he first got like doing progressive commercials and running his mouth. That guy. He's playing and looking like an MVP out there. And the thing is, he's lost majority of his offensive weapons. Mike Evans out. Godwin out. Emeka Ibuka got hurt. Baker said, don't matter. It don't matter. I'm still going to lead us to this win. And he did. Threw that bomb. On third down, he threw that bomb that got him the touchdown. That took, you know what? That took a lot of cojones and other words you can explain for them down there between your legs. It did. I was like, wow, he did that. Is Baker Mayfield MVP right now? When you look at his performances, you have to say yes. He's become the leader of that team. No doubt. There ain't even a question. He's become the undisputed leader of that ball club. And the thing is, you never thought this would happen. I know I didn't. I thought he was going to be the same immature kid that came out and just really didn't take the game seriously. But the thing was, and he got traded from Cleveland to the Rams, and then the Rams to Carolina, and you think he was going to be like that no man, be a backup quarterback, roaming from team to team to team to team, because he was just good enough to play NFL football. Something clicked in his head. I don't know what it was, but something clicked. Maybe it was the fact that he was running out of chances. When he went to Tampa Bay, he probably thought this was his last chance to show he could do this at a high level. And he took that opportunity. He took that last chance and he's running with it. I think he's MVP. If I had to vote right now, if I had a vote and I had to vote right now, yeah, he's MVP. Bucks are 5-1. And do you know this? Yesterday's game against the 49ers was the first game they won. Well, it didn't come down to the final minute, final few seconds of a walk-off field goal or something like that. I mean, they actually did what I call the most famous, most favorite play in all of NFL football, all of football, period. The victory kneel. That's right. For the first time this season, the Bucks won a game where they could do the victory kneel to run out the clock. They've been living dangerously, and this was the first time they didn't even have to live like that. The Bucks are right there. They're right there with the Lions, the Eagles. You have to take them seriously now. You have to. With Baker Mayfield playing like that without his weapons, that's what you call an MVP. When you can still win games and have top performances without your best weapons, and you still doing it. You still getting busy. You still getting them wins against top competition. Not like they beating bums. They may have beaten one bum, but they went out to Seattle, won. San Francisco at home, won. So it's not like they beating chumps, just a bunch of chumps. They beating contenders. So you have to put the Bucks right there. You have to. At least in the NFC. The Buccaneers are playing probably the best ball of anybody outside of Detroit. Now, I know Detroit lost last night, but they were on the roll. But you got to look at the Bucks. Without their best primary receivers, they're still winning games. That's what makes you MVP. When you can win without your best. And you can win without playing your best. And you still get the dubs. Baker Mayfield right now is my MVP. I never thought I would say that. But he is. He's playing like it. And he deserves it. He grew up somewhere between the Rams and the Bucks. Somewhere in between there, he grew up. And I'm happy for him. For one, I am happy for him. I'm glad he's gotten it together. Because I always thought he had the skills. Even when he was with the Browns. I thought he had the skills. I just think he didn't have it up here. Up here and in here. And I guess it took him to get a little humble. For him to realize you got to come with it. Here and here. And he's doing that. So I got him as my MVP. What about you? Leave me a comment, like, and subscribe, please. Moving on. I told you about them Chiefs. I told you. Y'all didn't believe me. I know y'all around here say, Chiefs ain't nothing. They lost to Jacksonville. They ain't gonna do nothing this year. I told you. To be the best, you gotta beat the best. And right now, the Chiefs are still the defending AFC champs. And they're getting healthy. And they're getting their players back. Next week, they get Xavier Worthy back. Rasheed Rice back. They're getting healthier. You do never doubt Patrick Mahomes and Coach Reed. You never doubt them until you can beat them. Until somebody shows me that they can beat them. Regular season, who cares? Playoffs. The Bills. Now, there are only a handful of teams in the AFC that I think can challenge the Chiefs right now. One is Buffalo, of course. Maybe the Chargers. They beat them in the regular season. Yeah, okay, I'll give them that. The Colts. Colts ain't no joke this year. They 5-1. And I even go so far to say the Steelers might even give them a push. But you ain't gonna beat them. Why? They got Patrick Mahomes. They got Coach Andy Reid. Travis Kelce with the Taylor Swift thing. Whatever. And now they're getting their players back. Rasheed Rice, Xavier Worthy. And when I told y'all, when that happens, they get the players back and they get all back on cohesion, who's gonna beat them? They just took out the Detroit Lions. Detroit been steamrolling teams last month or so. Steamrolling them. Went to Kansas City, I even thought they were going to steamroll them. Chiefs held them 17 points and made them work for those 17 points. And Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes. And like I said, I told you. You better be careful about them Chiefs. 30-17, that's a statement. That's a statement saying, we ain't going nowhere. We still here. What, we ain't new to this? We true to this. What, you done forgot? What, you done forgot about us? All right, we gonna let you know. That's what they're saying. And they're saying it in that kind of voice. You done forgot about us? What, you thought we just fell off the earth? What, we disappeared? Took our money? Kelsey married Taylor Swift, he just disappeared? Went on a remote island? Forgot we know how to play this game? I told y'all, don't sleep on the Chiefs. To be the best, you got to beat the best. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And in the AFC, the Chiefs are still the man. Until anybody, knocks them off. Will that happen? Who knows? Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. I would like to hear what you think about that. And, well, now we go from the top of the AFC to the bottom. What's wrong with the Jets? I mean, I heard it on First Take this morning, and I have to believe every word that was said about the Jets. I listened to the game yesterday. It was on London. The only team that I know that could look worse on offense is the Browns. That's the only team I know in the not just AFC, all the NFL that looks worse on offense is the Cleveland Browns. Both those teams those teams don't know how to score more than maybe 15 points a game. Maybe. Neither team, their offense stinks. But the Jets, you had an opportunity to upset the Broncos. You did. You had an opportunity. But the two drives, the last two drives, the two drives I'm going to talk about. the drive before the half. I've never seen a team look so confused and discombobulated on offense. And they ran out the last 18 seconds of that clock. Ran it out without running a play. They didn't run a play. I know y'all saw the highlights. Right before the halftime. They had 20-some seconds left. They had no timeouts. And they let the clock run out without running a play. They looking over the sideline looking over the players. They're like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? They're like, we're playing. Tick, 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 tick. That's the end of the first half. Didn't even snap the ball. I was like, who the hell is running this team? I mean, you got to be kidding me. And that's on the coach. That's on the coach and the coaching staff. That ain't on the players. That's on the coach and the coaching staff. You know the situation. That's called game management. You got to know the situation. You ain't got no more timeouts. So you got to get your plays set up. What you going to do? That means you need to be on the same page with your quarterback, with your receivers. So they can run the play in and let the line know. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do this quick, and then once we do this, I'm going to run up to the line. That's what you're supposed to do. They didn't even do that. They didn't even do that. They didn't do that. They just looking at each other like, what? That's the end of the first half. I shook my head. And then, they still, with all that, I have to give it up to defense. The defense kept them in the game. The defense kept them in the game. They held Denver to 13 points. So, again, end of the game, they got a chance to actually pull this game off. If they can get in field goal range. You know what they did? Sack. Justin Fields, my man. You supposed to be getting in the field goal range, not going backwards. Don't take sacks when you know, A, time's running out. And B, you have no more timeouts. If you do not see it, throw the goddamn ball away. But don't take a sack when you know you have no more timeouts left. And you know you only need to get in the field goal range to walk out of there with a win. Nope. That didn't happen. That happened. I just shook my head. You know, there's a telling stat that I saw this morning. You know the Jets' total yards in that game? You know the total yardage in that game against the Broncos? -10. -10. How do you do that? How do you get less than a yard in an NFL game? You're a professional football player. You telling me you ended up with a total yardage of -10? -10? They sacked Justin Fields 9 times. 3 times on the last damn possession. Or is there a worse team in the NFL than the New York Jets? They're the only team hasn't won a game yet, and it doesn't look like they're anywhere close to winning the game. I don't know. I've seen bad football, but good Lord. To not run a play when you know the clock's ticking down at the end of the half, and you don't even run a play. You don't spike the ball. You don't run a play. Nothing. Feel sorry for the Jets fans. I know your pain. I know your pain. I know it. I feel it. Why? Because I'm a Browns fan. We've gone through the same inept putrid play since they've been rebirthed in 1999. Team that just don't know how to get their head out of there. You know what? So I feel your pain. Trust me, I feel it. And you just gotta. I don't know. Just gotta keep the hope, keep the faith. I mean, y'all did have Aaron Rodgers. You couldn't win with him. I mean, that's bad. That's bad. That's real bad. But this team's terrible. Well, you know it. I know it. Everybody know it. They're terrible. My only question is, will they win the game? Not showing performance like they did this Sunday, where they don't even get a playoff. I mean, think about it. You ain't get a playoff. You had 20 something seconds left. You didn't even snap the ball. You're looking at the quarterbacks, looking at the coaches looking at the players. Nobody's on the same page, and yet that clock is still ticking, and it ticked right on out. I mean, I bet every New York Jets fan in the world wants to throw something at their TVs. But you know these TVs cost money. You can't do that. You can't do that. I know you wanted to. I know every Jets fan wanted to throw shoes, glasses, cups, beer bottles, whatever you can put in your head. I know you want to throw it at the TV. But you can't do that. TVs cost money. No, you don't need the deputy because I know the team ain't gonna reimburse it. But I know you feel it. I know the pain. I know it. I felt it. Hell, I'm feeling it now. So I know your pain. And the only thing I can hope for you guys is it gets better. I just hope it can't be much worse. I just hope it gets better. I really and truly do. All right. Believe with this final thought. That Detroit Lions player that hit Juju Smith Juicer in the head after the Lions Chiefs game last night, I would give him 2 games. Ain't no room for that. We all know that. What I saw, Patrick Mahomes was trying to shake the man's hand. I think his name is Branch, Deion Branch. He was trying to shake his hand, and God didn't want to have nothing to do with it. Okay, that's fine. All right, that's cool. But then Juju came over, must have said something to him, and then Deion Branch just boop, hit him in the head. I heard it caused Juju Smith-Schuster to have a nosebleed. Hurt his nose. Well, whether it hurt anything or not, there's no excuse for that. Especially after the game. You mad, you lost. Okay. You didn't want to shake nobody's hand, fine. Just go to the locker room. Just go to the locker room. Don't say nothing to nobody. Just go to the locker room. Go to the locker room. Vent your frustrations out in the locker room. You know, you can punch the locker if you want or the cubicle. Fine. Throw a chair. Fine. Ain't nobody gonna see it. But you bring your frustration because you lost. Yeah, we get it. Ain't no reason for you to hit nobody on the field. Nobody. And if I'm the commissioner or I'm in charge of suspensions, he's sitting 2 games. No money. No checks. He's sitting 2 games. And I will make him write out and deliver a public apology, press conference, make a public apology right there on national TV for everybody to see it. There's no excuse for that. You lost. Don't mean you need to act like a thug because you lost. And you're a great team. Detroit Lions are a great team. Everybody knows that. But you don't need that. Even their head coach said that was unexcusable and unacceptable. So yeah, we know something's going to happen to Deion Branch. Probably a suspension. Me, if I'm in charge of it, it's 2 games. It's 2 games and a public apology. And you're gonna donate some money to a certain charity of your choice, whatever. But yeah, that's what I think should happen to him. 2 games, sit. What do you think? Let me know. All right, man. It's time for me to get out of here on the Manic and Panic Monday. was a lot to dissolve and absorb and get through from this weekend. That's why we love football. That's why we love sports. There's always gonna be something to talk about. They're gonna be talking about James Franklin today, tomorrow. They're gonna be talking about him the rest of the week. And that's what we like. There's always gonna be something to talk about. Always. Always. And would you want it any other way? I wouldn't. Catch you back here tomorrow on the Ozone.